Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm the Storytelling Advisor, your guide as we analyze stories in books, movies, TV shows, and video games. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can keep discussing stories forever and always. I love it, you love it, so let's keep this train going, shall we? Today's story is easily one of the most successful ones of our time, having been turned into movies, video games, a play, an upcoming TV series. You name the medium, and it probably has some version of it out there. Universally beloved and acclaimed, it was known for its rags to riches author, unbelievably detailed world building, and a hero's journey so epic that it rivaled some of the classics. It combined several genres into a perfect medley of mystery, humor, fantasy, magic, and realism, which was particularly impressive considering it was all packaged into a kid's book. There's still an ongoing conversation about the controversy surrounding the author, which we'll talk about, but for now, let's alohomora the storytelling inside Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the book. Normally I like to give a bit of backstory on our topic of choice, but I think we all already know J.K. Rowling's journey pretty well. So instead I'm going to talk about something else. I debated talking about this because I want to keep this platform to talking about stories and story structures, but I do think it's warranted considering there's been a pretty vociferous boycott of J.K. Rowling since 2019 for reasons we all already know. I'm not going to be talking about any of that because here's what I think we all need to do. Separate the art from the artist. In all my days of working with stories, the thing that has become abundantly clear is that stories aren't created by one person. There's so much collaboration that goes into refining, reshaping, reworking any story, regardless of the medium in which it's presented. If you think J.K. Rowling wrote these stories by herself, I'm here to tell you right now that that is incorrect. To dismiss the Harry Potter series is to dismiss a lot of other creative people like beta readers, proofreaders, literary agents, editors, book cover designers, and I don't think the story deserves that. So let's put all of our thoughts about J.K. Rowling aside for now and jump into the analysis. You can yell at me in the comments about this later if you want to. I'm happy to discuss it. Okay, so what makes Harry Potter so freaking good? There'll always be haters for anything successful, but even the biggest Potter poopers can't deny that there's a magnetism about this story. There's obviously lots of things that worked well in the book, the chemistry between characters, the underdog fighting for good, the easy flow between realism and magic that spawned an entire community hidden in plain sight, and honestly, it's just really good world building. So I'm just going to talk about a few things that I've never heard anyone else discuss with respect to why the pieces in the story structure connected so well. First off, at the root, it's a really simple premise that any kid can understand. Good versus evil. We've obviously seen this time and time again, but the story was structured in a way that had longevity because at the end of the first book, we've only just scratched the surface of the main conflict. This was a smart choice. The A plotline of Harry versus Voldemort arcs for the entire series, while each book focuses on a strong B plotline that is resolved by the end of the book, while also giving us more of that A plotline. For the Philosopher's Stone, the B plotline is Harry unraveling the mystery of the stone, but we're introduced to the A plotline that will continue throughout the series. And intertwined with all of this are other threads that play a role in building the world and advancing the story. Even minor storylines like Norbert the Dragon, figuring out Platform 9 3/4, or even Neville's Remembrall connect seamlessly together, creating a simple narrative that builds towards a bigger picture. Holes in the world, like the kid's education not reaching beyond the 5th grade, the wild abuse Harry experiences at the hands of the Dursleys, and even Dumbledore's questionable choices with respect to helping Harry, are accepted because the plot moves so well from one point to the next that we're able to use our own imagination and explanations to fill in the gaps. Which brings me to my next point, and it's something I see a lot in many children's stories. Adult incompetence, not incontinence, incompetence. It's kind of necessary when you're telling the story from a perspective of a kid because logic and reason needs to go out the window. Otherwise, you lose out on the confidence and self-assurance that allows kids to be heroes in their own stories. Of course, it's insane that Dumbledore would set up a series of trials and tests to hide a tool that could possibly bring back Lord Voldemort, a wizard who's basically an amalgamation of all the tyrants in history combined. And he did all of this in his school in a very easily accessed place. All Hermione had to do was use a basic spell to break into the third floor corridor. This is what I mean about adult incompetence. It's a different way to suspend disbelief because you're not just letting magic or science fiction exist. In children's stories, you have to be okay with adults being kind of stupid and kids showing them the way forward. When grown-ups become too capable, then you're no longer making a world for kids because in reality, kids don't have a lot of power. Harry Potter found that great balance between grown-ups interfering to keep things grounded, like Professor McGonagall taking no BS from students, and being completely outrageous to help kids overcome obstacles, like the lengths the Dursleys went to keep Harry from getting his letters. Stories for kids are so fun because young protagonists get to explore and thrive without the cumbersome rules and regulations that come with being a grown-up. And it makes so much sense. Everyone has thought about grand adventures in one way or another, and the best stories for children are the ones that recognize authoritarian figures need to be bumbling and silly so kids can be the heroes they don't get to be in the real world. Another reason this story was so successful was that it broke a fundamental principle of storytelling in such a clever way. Many authors die on the whole show-don't-tell technique, and I'm not saying that this book told us everything and showed us nothing, but there is a key difference between Harry Potter and a lot of other fantasy novels, because everything in the world was new to Harry too. Instead of wasting time showing us the rules, Harry could just ask another character to explain things in a few short sentences. The rules of Quidditch? No problem. The currency? Here you go. The attributes of the 4 Hogwarts houses? How about the Sorting Hat tells you that in a song? Voldemort's whole beef with Harry? Dumbledore doesn't feel like talking about that right now. Ron and Hermione were also really smart additions to the story because Ron's upbringing meant that he could fill in the gaps for the basic parameters of the wizarding world, and Hermione's studious nature made her dependable for a spell or piece of knowledge to fix any problem. Neither of them did this in an overwhelming way, and their contributions always fit their characters and gave Harry someone to rely on for an explanation or a solution. Alright, now I know I normally talk about my beefs with the story at this point, but honestly, I don't think I have any with this book. One of the bigger criticisms was the ending felt rushed, and yeah, I can see how adults would have beef with not fully fleshing out the Quirrell-Voldemort symbiotic relationship, Harry being unconscious for the climactic final boss fight, and Dumbledore's wild point allocation at the end of your feast. But really, when you look at the story arcs and structure, each one has a conclusion. Maybe there are things that could have been better, like everyone at Hogwarts being completely fine with Harry murdering a professor, but ultimately, enough of the secondary storylines were checked off, leaving a compelling main conflict to keep us invested in future stories. I think my main beef is with the movie adaptation. I know so many of you will hate me for this, but it felt so flat compared to the book. I'll give it to the movie that it covered most of the big plot points to get Harry from learning he's a wizard to stopping Voldemort's return and winning the House Cup, but so many minor storylines were chopped, and those were the ones that made the world and characters so rich and full. Things like the Centaur's conversation in the Forbidden Forest, Hermione solving the potion puzzle trial, Mr. Ollivander remembering Hagrid and alluding to his expulsion from Hogwarts, Peeves the Poltergeist, the midnight duel with Malfoy leading to the discovery of the third floor corridor. The list goes on and on. Again, the bones of the story were there, and that's great, but the magic these minor plotlines brought to the overall journey were missing, and it kind of took away from the world feeling complete. On the whole, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is a testament to how a well-designed story will always find success and resonate with audiences. It blended magic and fantasy with our reality, opening a portal to an epic and fun adventure for anyone to enjoy. Okay, tell me what you all think about this one. Harry Potter has become such a beast, and I'm genuinely curious which parts of the story structure worked for all of you. And as always, remember to like and subscribe so I can keep doing this. Thanks everyone. See you next time. Bye.